Senator Francis Heyliger, you're recognized for your 7 minutes.
Thank you so much. Good day to my colleagues. Good day to the testifiers. Good day to the people of this territory. My first set of questions I want to quickly ask the OMB director. In your testimony, you spoke a little bit to overtime. I want to know, has there been any calculations done as to the potential savings if overtime is all but eliminated or extendedly reduced? Do you have an idea of what kind of savings that could bring about after this merger?
Good morning, Senator. Thank you for your question. No, I have not done that. We can assume that the $20 million we've spent over the last 7 years will be significantly less once there is a merger or integration, I should say, and new and additional persons are brought on board. Overtime is typically paid at a much higher rate than your normal base pay, so there will be some savings. I just don't know what that is at this point.
Okay. Well, hopefully we could get some kind of numbers so we could better understand the impact from a financial basis, what this is going to also have in the cost savings. Another aspect of this I want to touch on, and this is to the director of the fire service. Has there been any conversation with the current employees as in regards to the reduction of their overtime? Because I'm going to be real and honest. If someone has been accustomed or used to getting sometimes 50,000, I've seen with other agencies and even with officers, 100,000 more extra a year, and this has now become a part of their lifestyle. How do you deal with the impact of that with this merger and the potential reduction of overtime? Do you see an exodus of people potentially leaving? Do you see an impact on work performance because they're not getting that level of pay anymore? What kind of problems do you foresee happening, and how do you plan on tackling and handling it?
That's an excellent question, Senator, because at the beginning of our term, that was one of the things that we did our strategic hiring plan on, to reduce overtime. And it's not factored in every employee's paycheck that overtime is sustainable. They know that for a fact because of the amount of members that we have, we spread the overtime out. Everybody have an opportunity to get overtime. So one person alone don't get overtime. Right now, as we speak, there's a situation because we are short of a captain, so the captains have been rotating to fill that gap. But an impact that you're talking about with respect to the personnel, the rank and file saying that they make $50,000 and it's going to be an impact, that's a negative. I don't see that happening, Senator, because we spread the overtime out among the employees.
So if it's reduced, you not just one person, so you don't really see it really having a big impact on the department.
No, okay. Senator. And as part of the strategic plan, that was mentioned to them also.
Okay, excellent. Thank you for sharing that. As you know, with the testing and some of these individuals having a new skill set, have you had conversations with them of potential increase in salary, et cetera? Because you might have one that's just, we all started off at firefighters. They now have to get this additional training. Have we discussed about their salary?
Yes, that's part of the stipend that is in the collective bargaining agreement. There's some that we want to enhance. There's some that we want to introduce. But they get their stipend once they get their certification. That's automatic. HR puts in the document and they get their stipends for whatever discipline. Within the agency, you could only get 2 disciplines. That's something I want to change because as much individuals could get more disciplines, that's more stipend that they could get on their paycheck.
Okay, so as of right now, you're saying it's only up to 2. Yeah,
you can only get 2 stipends for discipline. We met this here. That has never changed from the time I know of the fire service. When I was a union leader.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. I also want to ask about when the tours were done, and even when we were here, I was here the last time, we had discussed about equipment shortages and how we would send out multiple stations to assist with issues. How do you think this is going to impact once the merger is done? Do you think that would be a plus because now it'll be additional equipment, or do you think that the differentiation between what you need with the EMS and fire service, it's still going to be a problem?
I don't see it, Senator, because it's going to be a tiered response, basically. For instance, if there's a shortage of an ambulance in the downtown area, the fire truck will respond with an EMR or EMT on it, stabilize that patient until the ambulance comes. We try over the next couple of months, as we evolve this integration, we plan to introduce more ambulance. Again, as the staff ramp up, there'll be more ambulance service. But as we go right now, we want to make sure that the individuals get the health care that they need, and is going to be provided great health care.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. As it relates to dealing with this merger, and I know the last time we talked with the rebuilding of some of these different locations through FEMA assistance, et cetera, that there would be a demarcation between space allotted for, let's say, males and females, et cetera. What I want to know with this merger, space-wise, would you guys be able to accommodate, or are you preparing, just like how we had seen plans for some of the larger buildings? Is it going to be adequate once this is done? Because I want to make sure that we know this and the public also understands.
Again, great question. That's the plan. One team, one mission. Everybody will be a team. We have enough space that personnel could be spread out and feel comfortable. Adding additional 2 persons from EMS to a station, we could make that happen. The bigger stations, adding 2 more people, we could make that happen. Space for the ambulance and stuff, we work those out, moving around equipment and stuff like that. But those are small ticket items that we, as a management and the team of EMS, could address comprehensively.
Time.
Okay. Oh, well, thank you so much for your responses. I heard time call and I don't want to go over. So I appreciate you sharing your thoughts, and I will vote accordingly. Thank you.
Heyliger, for her 5 minutes.
Good afternoon once again to my colleagues and testifiers and the people of the territory. I would need to speak to Mr. Dorsey. I'm trying to get a little bit of clarity on some of the things that I've been listening to. Earlier, you spoke to there's a group that fell under the category, and it was not only just the 7 that potentially are being penalized. Could you explain to that? And do you have a specific number? And please give me some clarity. Was it different names that they came in under? Fire EMS, was there a different classification name-wise in personnel? I really need to understand that aspect of it, because I really didn't grasp what was being said.
So good afternoon, Senator Heyliger.
Good afternoon.
And before I forget, you are really doing a good job as a new senator. I just wanted to say that to you.
Thank you.
Senator, this is a situation. You're welcome, Senator. This is a situation, Senator. The job description that the director referenced, which is 2013, we could just keep that date in mind. Since 2013, there have been several classes that came in, and they have not passed the job description of EMT, firefighter EMT. Forget the EMR part for now. We're talking about what your job description says when you came in, and all of us came in under different job descriptions. So prior to 2013, you were only required to be a firefighter. That's it. So I'm just going by the CBA now, right? And I'm going by the rules of the Division of Personnel. Our CBA is very clear. The Director of Fire doesn't determine who is eligible for these things. It is the Division of Personnel, which would be the Director of Personnel. That's in the contract language. That's all I've been speaking today. And again, we're not against the integration. We just want to be fair. So being fair, if it means that you have to send not just those who passed the EMR, because we're talking about the 7 who didn't pass, but there's the other difference of maybe another 12 members who passed the EMR course, right? But then there's those other classes, because my understanding in this class as of today, there's only one member who passed the EMT based on the job spec. And that's how the process is supposed to work, to be fair to everybody. The unions is saying, if you're going to send the 7 home, then you got to send the other 45 or 50 people home as well, who did not pass the firefighter EMT, not EMR.
Okay, what the other 45 was the EMT description part of their job specs when they were hired?
Yes, they came in under 23rd. If they came after from 13 onward, they would be part of that group. But to pick on the 7 people, union leader here today, would not sit here and
okay. Could I speak to the director of fire service so I could get some more information? Based on what Mr. Dorsey is saying to us, when individuals from 2013 up until now were hired, there were specific instructions as to the description of their job. He's saying that some 45 of them did not pass all of those descriptions, but they're still there. And these 7 who are still in the process and still haven't passed and going through the process, they're the only ones being penalized. Can you explain to me if what he's saying is accurate, or is there something we're missing?
You're missing a lot of what he's saying because he's inaccurate. One of the key components to this whole thing that Mr. Dorsey is missing. In 2013, under the other administration, they never got the individuals to sign any documents telling them about the EMT course. Their probationary period went for 2 years and they did not do EMR or EMT. So what we did when we came in, we started the integration model. And what we did was utilizing the EMR program as the bridge program to get the EMT. That's what we did. So it could be an easier transition to the EMT program because we did not have an EMT program in the territory that we could have sustained. The EMR program was more easier for us to move forward, and it was a national standard. Right. So when he brings up the point about firing 45 people, I'm trying to understand and fathom what he's saying. The same thing that we have done in the St. Thomas district, we just did with a class in St. Croix. Those individuals passed. There's 1 or 2 that didn't pass. The last class of 7, they're going through the EMR program as we speak. As we build out the organization, Senator, and we transition to the EMT program, all these individuals already have the first basic part of the EMT program, so they can move on. So I'm trying to understand what we did so wrong. The EMR program is a bridge to EMT. It's a certified program. It's a certified program. So I'm trying to understand what he's saying. I am violating a law. And there's nothing in their contract. And I challenge him to give you the copy in his contract where he's talking about. There's nothing in the contract that speaks to that.
Okay. So
can I respond?
My time is called. Was my time called?
It was, Senator, but if you have a wrap up, you may proceed and wrap up.
Oh, okay. I thought I heard somebody said they wanted to. Did anyone wanted to say anything? Okay.
That was Dorsey. I wanted to respond.
To the chair, this is Josh Springett. If I could have an opportunity after the senator's time, please.
Well, my time has been called. Mr. Chair, could you respond? Because I need to get as much information and clarity on this as possible.
Very well.
I would like to respond as well, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome, Senator. As Chief Negotiator, you may respond, and then we'll come to Mr. Darcy to respond as well.
Thank you, Senator. Josh Springett, Chief Negotiator at the Office of Collective Bargaining. I want to reiterate what Director George has said and then add and enlighten the senators and the viewing and listening audience of my responsibility when it comes to the separation of any termination of any employees who are in unionized positions. As Director George said, this is not a arbitrary or blanket termination of employees who do not meet the qualifications. They have extended themselves and gone above and beyond in order to assist those individuals in successfully completing this program, because it not only benefits that individual, it benefits every one of us here in the entire community. Now, note that if an employee is being recommended for termination, that package comes to me for review before being sent to the governor for approval. And so I take those packages seriously, review them in detail to ensure that all rules and laws have been complied with before they're forwarded to the governor for approval. So this is not swift action that's without any thought or due process. Thank you.
May I respond?
You may respond
Chair?
now, Mr. Dorsey.
I would just say this in reference to what the director just said and what the chief negotiator just kind of followed up on. In the contract, Senator Heyliger, it refers to who would qualify individuals for coming into the fire service. That is not the director of fire. That is not the chief negotiator. That is the director of the Division of Personnel. That is in our CBA. I'm also saying from the job spec, the job spec said you had to meet those requirements. Now, the director is right. The last administration that brought in most of those individuals did not follow through on how they should have, nor has this administration, because the process of the job spec says you're in for the 1 year probation, and then it goes into the VI code under the Division of Personnel, where if you're going to keep someone on probation, you're supposed to notify the union. The government has failed to notify the union because their position is they're not unionized employees. And they're not unionized employees from their standpoint because they're not understanding the change in the code under former President Trump as it relates to unions throughout the states, right? Under the US flag. The rules changed under that time. We changed that language when we were at the last time at the negotiating table under the last administration. However, that wasn't passed on to this administration. So that's why we have this song and dance back and forth. The only thing we're saying today is really not the bridge program. It sounds good, but it's not about the bridge program. It is about what the job spec said when they came in. And this goes back, as I agree with the director of fire, several classes. So the only thing we're saying, if you're going to send the 7 home, you have a lot more to send. I agree with Senator Gittins. At this point, we have a new program. We need to just allow them to come in because at the end of the day, fire service needs bodies. We need bodies, and everybody's not going to pass, even the EMT. But we still need those bodies because there's still work to be done on the fire ground. In any fire department, you can pick up the phone and call the firefighters, and they will tell you territory-wide, we need the bodies. So whether you have 2 EMTs in Coral Bay and you got 3 trucks there, you still need 4 other firefighters in those other 2 trucks, or 6 other firefighters and those other 2 trucks. That is the reality of our situation. So that's all I'm really going to say about that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to, I'll recognize Senator Heyliger, Frances Heyliger, for her point of inquiry.
Thank you so much. My point of inquiry through the chair is actually to 3 individuals up here. First of all, I just heard about a handbook. And then I also heard about the contract. And then I also heard about union rules being changed federally. Is that accurate? And I'm questioning between the Division of Personnel, has your division does any kind of research to whether corroborate as to what Mr. Dorsey keeps referring to is even in existence or accurate? Or are you just standing based on what you have historically done as opposed to what potentially might have happened based on what he's saying the laws have changed, but we have not acknowledged them or we're not even aware of them? That is where I am needing some clarity, because he's saying one thing, that his union is aware that these laws were changed, but what I'm hearing from personnel is that it should be this way. This is what we've known it to be. And I just need to find out, has anyone verified what he's referencing as to federal laws being changed that will now be applicable to unions and rules here in the territory? Thank you.
Senator Heyliger, I think that will be best answered by Chief Springett.
Yep.
Chief Negotiator.
Josh Springer, Chief Negotiator at the Office of Collective Bargaining. As Senator Francis Heyliger, Mr. Dorsey just made reference to laws changed by Trump. What laws? President Trump changed a number of laws. If Mr. Dorsey is going to reference any law, any statute, any rule, he needs to specifically state the bill number, the act number, or whatever he's referencing, so that we can address it. But right now, what we're hearing are very, very general statements about laws changing without anything to support it. We're making references to the contract without any specific section. He's the president, he's the chief negotiator for the union. He needs to reference a specific section. Bear in mind that I think that's the question that you asked one answer to. So I can't respond to, I can't research anything, or neither one of us can research something that we're not specifically clear on what he's speaking about. And as the Senate, and as the Vice President, as the chair of this body has stated, of this committee has stated, these are two separate issues. If the union believes that these employees are being treated inappropriately, it has the necessary recourse. If it doesn't believe it has the recourse, it has been speaking with they have been speaking with the employees. The employees can seek recourse as well. This is, I respectfully say that this is not the forum to discuss whether or not a probationary employee is being extended beyond their time illegally, or they're being inappropriately dismissed. This is not the time. I strongly urge the committee to focus on this important bill for the community.
Can I respond? This is President Dorsey. My name is being called.
President Dorsey, you may respond quickly, please.
Okay. Good afternoon. This is President Dorsey. Senator Heyliger, there are several segments of what's being said today and at this time that affects this segment or group of our employees at this time. So I would say, one, yes, there was a change in the law for all unions. The document actually came from the office of OCB. We were at the table. Former chief negotiator Tang Hao sent the document to us. It's just for me to go in the system and probably look for the document. And I also believe, I won't say I believe, our attorney has a copy of the document. We can forward it to you. That's not an issue. The other item, so what I read now, and I didn't know that until everybody started opening their mouth on the government side, that they just didn't do their homework. And you were correct, Senator Heyliger. They are responsible when they come into these positions to do their due diligence to find out what the up-to-date laws are on the books. That's not us. I'm only reacting, Senator, because it's affecting our members. I'm also going to say, the Division of Personnel document they were reading from, the document also states that you have to notify 15 days prior to. I know the section. I used it with the last administration to stop a whole class from being put out of the administration for the same reason. Why? Because they went over the probationary period. They went beyond the 2 years with that administration. This administration, the only thing they're saying different is they put in what they're trying to say is a bridge program. And even that wasn't done correctly, because if you're going to do it based on the contract, you still have to notify the union. That never happened. There's no documentation. So I'm just saying to the public, viewing and listening public, the process wasn't done correctly. Fire messed up. I'm just waiting for them to react, and then we'll have a reaction. So we're not worried about that. We will react. But they've just told everybody that they didn't do what they were supposed to do. And I think you senators understand that much. These members should have been gone probably from the first, in some cases, 18 months. If the administration wanted to do that because they didn't meet the job spec requirements in the job spec, or after the 1 year, they had the option after 1 year to do it. They didn't do it. So now we're 3 years in. You cannot send them home.
Right.
That's not how it works.
All right, Mr.
Not because
Dorsey.
you're in charge. That's not how it works.
All right,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Dorsey, I want to bring this back to Bill 34-01.